Alright, so this video we're just gonna change the stock Yamaha exhaust to the Vance and Hines Cruzers exhaust. These are modified stock exhausts. I kind of did some work to the back, but still I'd rather have the Vance and Hines Cruzers on here. So we're gonna start by removing bolt down here. Bolt down here. There's two holding onto the frame back here and up at the header here. So I'm going to go ahead and take those off. Okay, so to access this screw back here, I was loosening the bolt holding the part of the heat shield on here, and it ended up snapping, so we had a bit of a delay here. But now I can access this one back here, and then get to the bottom. I'm not going to take them all the way out yet. I'm just going to do it partially. So with those bolts loosened, I'm going to go ahead and start at the headers. You might want to cover up, put a t-shirt or something here, just if you're cautious about hitting your tank or any of your bike with the ratchet. There we go, the old system. So once we got everything off, I'm just going to make sure that the new gasket is the right size. The last thing you want is to have everything off and then realize that you can't use this. And it will fit, so that's good. There you go. Okay, next step is to install the bracket that came with it. They actually supplied two bolts to use for this, so you do not need the other two I mentioned earlier. Next, we're going to be installing the heat shield onto the front exhaust before we put it onto the bike. We're going to do this by sliding them through the clamps inside of the heat shield. But one thing to keep in mind is you want to keep it so the screws are accessible. So when this is on the bike, you'll be able to reach the screw from underneath. On the rear exhaust, the screws will be accessible from the top. So we've got the heat shield on here fairly loose. These can all be moved, and once it's on the bike, we can line up the heat shield properly, what angle you want it at, and then tighten everything down. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the heat tighten up on the rear exhaust before I put it back onto the bike. I just want to point out, if ever you wanted to remove the baffle from this exhaust system, there's just one screw back here. Take that out and you can slide out the baffle if you want a clean exhaust and a really loud bike. Okay, so before we install the front exhaust, I'm going to put this little clamp, just slide it on to where it's going to connect onto the bike, and there's a nut plate that has to go on. Now if you put this nut plate in here, it's going to be loose and you're going to have to try to fiddle with the bike to get the bolts to lock on. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to put a piece of cardboard on the back of it, slide the nut plate in, and now that's stationary. It'll be a lot easier to thread a bolt into that. When I'm done, I'm just going to slide this out once I got it threaded. So that's going to be a big help. So now it's ready to go onto the bike. With everything in place now on the front exhaust, I'm just going to slide it onto the bike. Sliding the exhaust onto the existing one was quite a challenge. It did go on after a lot of twisting and pushing and assistance with holding the bike. And now it's time to just put these guys into the nut plate. And see, having this piece of cardboard here, it's not the nut plate isn't moving around on you. It's threading right away there. So I'll just get them threaded and then tighten them up after. There. They're both on. Slide my cardboard out and they're there. Now I'm going to do the front. So for the rear exhaust, we've got the new gasket in there. I'm just going to thread in the first bolt. Hold it. And at the rear of the bike, we're going to put the bolts through that nut plate. There we go. So just put on the two new bolts, the two remaining bolts, and you're done. After you've got the bolts done here, go back and tighten everything up that you had loose earlier. Your bracket back here, anything on the nut plate. At the head, you're going to tighten the clamp that's holding it to your original exhaust. And you can adjust your heat shields at this point, what angle you want them to hide your exhaust. And you want to bring it back close to the end of the muffler. The last thing we're going to do once everything is on, everything's been tightened up now, before you start it up, the instructions suggest to clean it with a solvent. I'm going to be using alcohol, and then I will fire it up.
Yep.